Is your wife Priscilla with you? No, she's not. Judy Garland spent her life singing about bluebirds, but she died without ever finding them. She was found dead on the bathroom floor early Sunday morning. There is a new star in the heavens. Young, fresh, beautiful. In a special report broadcast on CBS News, American audiences were left speechless by shocking revelations about the hidden sides of the final days of music legends. Some artists passed away while their stomachs still contained dozens of pills that had not yet dissolved. Others refused treatment for serious illnesses, even though they could afford to travel abroad or spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to prolong their lives. And most tragically, some singers took their last breath with their hands still chained to hospital beds. The cold details in the autopsy records exposed the truth. The dazzling lights on stage were merely a curtain hiding the harsh tragedies behind. Right after this, let's look back at the 10 most shocking revelations from the autopsy reports of legendary singers, with the final details still leaving millions of fans around the world in tears. Elvis Presley, An Enlarged Heart and the Secret of the Pills. On the sweltering morning of August 16, 1977, the usually quiet Graceland mansion in Memphis was shaken. Ginger Alden, Elvis Presley's fiancée in her early 20s, turned pale when she found him lying motionless on the bathroom floor. The young woman screamed in panic while trying to shake him awake, but his heavy body showed no response. Minutes later, the sound of an ambulance siren echoed across the estate as Elvis was rushed to Baptist Memorial Hospital. All resuscitation efforts failed at the age of 42. The heart of the king of rock and roll had stopped beating. The autopsy revealed a haunting detail. His heart was nearly twice its normal size, a sign of chronic heart disease that had been silently progressing for years. But that was not all. In Elvis's stomach, doctors found a whole store of undigested pills, tranquilizers, painkillers, blood pressure medications, anti-anxiety drugs. Together, they painted a bleak picture. Elvis had been relying on medication to endure pressure, fatigue, and relentless touring schedules. Close associates revealed that since the early 1960s, Elvis had grown accustomed to using pills to keep himself going. A backstage worker in Las Vegas recalled one incident when Elvis collapsed in the dressing room, and only after swallowing a handful of pills was he able to drag himself on stage and perform as if nothing had happened. Few could imagine that behind the stage lights and cheers was a body so worn out it had to borrow strength from drugs. The truth became even more bitter when people recalled Elvis's personal scandals. He was once criticized for his relationship with Priscilla Beaulieu when she was only 14, while he was already a superstar. Though the two later married, the story left a stain that forced Elvis to face public pressure repeatedly. Some journalists analyzing his death argued that the scandals combined with loneliness had driven him deeper into drug dependence as a temporary escape. The autopsy also revealed a string of other medical conditions the public barely knew about: hepatitis, severe hypertension, chronic digestive disorders. On certain days, Elvis could not perform without taking laxatives. The man who once rocked the entire world was, in truth, living with silent physical pain weighed down further by the mental strain of scandals, broken marriage. The death at Graceland closed a golden chapter, but also opened a flood of rumors. Many details in the file were sealed, sparking speculation had Elvis truly died. Throughout the 1980s, the Elvis is alive. Theories spread everywhere, from barroom chatter to late-night TV shows. Some swore they saw him in Michigan. Others claimed to spot him at a Texas airport. Though never proven, these rumors became an inseparable part of the Elvis Presley legend. While the public was still shaken by the secrets surrounding Elvis Presley just 3 years later, the music world witnessed another shocking tragedy: 4 gunshots in New York that ended the life of a legend named John Lennon. John Lennon, the secret behind 4 fatal bullets. In the late 1970s, John Lennon lived what seemed like a peaceful life away from the spotlight. He spent much of his time with Yoko Ono and their son Sean, enjoying family life in their luxurious apartment at the Dakota Building in Manhattan. Yet, behind the image of a man seeking peace away from fame were conflicts, pressures, and even hatred from those obsessed with his stardom. On the night of December 8, 1980, a heartbreaking event shook the music world. Mark David Chapman, who had asked for John Lennon's autograph just hours earlier, opened fire as Lennon and Yoko Ono approached the entrance of their Dakota apartment. Lennon collapsed into his wife's arms and was rushed to St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital only a few blocks away. However, doctors, including Richard Marx, confirmed the blood loss was too severe. Resuscitation attempts failed. The medical report stated that chest and aortic injuries had made survival impossible. What intrigued the public was that the full autopsy report was never released. Authorities only issued a summary withholding many details. Rumors exploded. Why were the specifics of such a shocking case kept secret? Some veteran New York journalists suggested the file might contain controversial details about the weapon shooting distance or wound positions, elements that could fuel suspicions. Chapman had not acted alone. It was no surprise conspiracy theories erupted. For years, Lennon had been a thorn in the side of the U.S. government. With anti-war anthems like Give Peace a Chance and Imagine and close ties to left-wing activists, he was placed under FBI surveillance. Declassified files later confirmed that President Nixon once considered Lennon a national security threat and even sought to deport him. This fueled the belief that Chapman was merely a pawn in a larger plot to silence Lennon permanently. The autopsy also revealed that Lennon's health before his death was not as good as the public imagined. He suffered from severe stress. Constant smoking had weakened his lungs, and traces in his blood suggested he may have used mild sedatives to fight chronic insomnia. Doctors explained this was common among artists under heavy pressure. But for Lennon, a symbol of freedom and defiance, this truth was especially heartbreaking. Lennon's personal life also left lasting echoes. In the 1960s, he was rumored to have clashed with Paul McCartney, gotten drunk and brawled in Hamburg bars, and had complex love affairs before Yoko Ono, all sparking controversy. Combined with his outspoken political critiques, Lennon became both idolized and hated. When he fell, his personal history became fuel for countless conspiracy theories. Instead of closing the case, John Lennon's autopsy became a focal point of mystery. 4 bullets not only ended the life of a musical genius, but also silenced a fiery chapter of America's anti-war movement. While New York was still grieving his funeral, the UK was soon shaken by another tragedy, the sudden passing of a famous musical theater star in her London apartment, leaving unanswered questions. Judy Garland, a life bound by sleeping pills. Since adolescence. Amid the sweet melodies of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, few could have imagined the shadows haunting Judy Garland's life. The image of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz 1939 captured the world's heart. But off-camera, Judy was just a 16-year-old girl forced into Hollywood's harsh regime. To maintain her slim figure on screen, MGM required her to take diet pills followed by sleeping pills to regulate rest. Those tiny pills gradually became shackles binding her youth. By the 1950s, rumors swirled that Judy was collapsing from exhaustion on set. She once checked into a hospital for severe fatigue only to be pushed back under the lights days later. One of her private doctors admitted she sometimes swallowed dozens of pills a day at night to sleep and in the morning to stay awake for recording. It was a vicious cycle with no escape. Fans saw a radiant star, but those close to her watched as work schedules and pills eroded her body. Her personal life was equally turbulent. Failed marriages from director Vincente Minnelli to musician David Rose, and finally Mickey Deans, left her heartbroken each time. Depression followed, and once again, pills became her crutch. Rumors circulated